Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here for another Fridaze with Operation GCD and the Occult Rejects. I'm the host, Nick of the Occult Rejects. How you doing, Nick?
Good. And yourself?
Oh, great. We got 2 Fridays consecutive here. We're back from the IR, so that's good news for both of us, I suppose.
We're on a roll.
We got our guest here tonight, BT Wallace from the Truth and Shadow podcast and co-host of the Unrefined Podcast.
Hey,
BT,
guys.
good seeing you again, bud.
Thanks, man.
Welcome to Fridays. We just as I said, aim for a relaxed roundtable discussion here on whatever conspiracy theory type topics we to get into. But before we which we've already kind of started doing before the show here tonight, but what why don't you give the folks a proper introduction here to some of the stuff you're working on over there at your podcast and just your podcast in general, I suppose.
Yeah, so I run Truth and Shadow podcast and I co-host unrefinedpodcast.com, like you had mentioned. Basically, both of our podcasts are designed to blend history, spirituality, metaphysics into a more, something that challenges the conventional narratives and encourages us to be a little bit more introspective in questioning our approaches to the topics that we give, make people think a little bit.
Nice. That's important. Folks don't use their brains enough these days.
No.
That's right.
And I see you have oftentimes have a very Christian focus in a lot of your production there on both podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a practicing Latin Rite Catholic, and so I make sure to present some Catholic stuff on my show along with other Christian individuals. I'm a pretty open-minded individual, like to listen to people's opinions, no matter their topic, no matter their background.
You're more of a fan of the Latin Mass?
That's right.
Oh, that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, I have mentioned before, there was a few people that 2, maybe 3 people that I knew that when they left the OTO, they actually went to Latin Masses.
And get their fix.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So what's
that's what it is. They leave the Gnostic Mass and they come to the actual Mass. That's all right.
Yeah.
What's the draw there? When they say they leave the OTO and go do go to Latin Mass? What's the draw there?
I think people just believe that the Latin Mass, probably because of the language, there's like something to it more. Maybe it's a little bit more authentic. I actually beat you Wallace for a better reason.
Ritual.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is a lot of Satanists prefer to use a host, the consecrated host from the Catholic Church. You don't hear a lot of Protestants complaining that their Wonder Bread and grape juice goes missing by some Satanists. It's always a host from the Catholic Church, so it's got to mean something. Right?
That's a good point.
I used to go up to, there was a church down the road from me when I lived in Queens, and they used to have see those big coffee urns that make those gigantic things of coffee. Basically had something that size of holy water.
Yeah, sure.
So I would go in there and fill it up with a bottle and bring it home, and I'd use it in my shit.
There you go. It works.
I guess. Yeah,
so you live in the Pacific Northwest, right, BT?
That's right.
How's it like being a liberty-minded Catholic in the Pacific Northwest?
Well, you have to live in the country, and then you meet people that are like-minded. That's basically it. I mean, we don't live in the big cities. That's where all of the, I don't know, everybody seems to drink the Kool-Aid in the big cities, and that's what you get. Out here in the country, you have free thinkers. Yeah,
sure. It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland there in the Pacific Northwest cities, isn't it?
It was back in 2017.
Right.
Lots of stuff going off. Yeah. First time Big Don was president, there was a lot of riots and things in downtown Portland. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
They burned a courthouse there, didn't they?
Burned down police
federal courthouse.
Something, yeah. Did some fire damage. I don't think they burned it down. It's their brick.
Yeah,
some building,
some arson damage.
Lots of fire damage to them. Yeah, that in a police station or something.
Wild. Now, I like your flag there. It reminds me of my tattoo. I blended both the American flag and the Gadsden flag.
Yes, it's great.
Tattoo.
I have a come and take it flag hanging up in a different part of the room here. Yeah.
Nice.
It's just a little homage to Texas, really.
General Gadsden there was an interesting character. I guess we learned. We joined you for a Process Church discussion there on the Truth and Shadow podcast, which not only did I enjoy, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from it. So yeah, I definitely appreciate the invite.
Yeah, of course.
Thing I've learned since then, though, is in regards to one of the founding members of the process was a descendant of General Gadsden. Multiple families from the Society of Cincinnati, specifically the South Carolina chapter and a family out of the New York chapter, the Astor family.
Oh,
yeah,
I think that name comes up pretty frequently.
They were big in the settlement up there in the Pacific Northwest. The Astor family, John Jacob, right. That is. I believe that's the namesake for the Goonies' hometown of Astoria.
Yes.
Oh, they lived in Astoria?
Yeah, Goonies takes place up there in Astoria. Yeah. You can drive past the house today.
I used to live near.
Yep.
And it was weird. A bunch. And at one point, the OTO was actually out there, but there was a bunch of people in the OTO lodge that I went to that all looked in Astoria. I was like, what the fuck is up with that? Like, it seemed way too weird that there was so many people that lived in that one town.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they were certainly founded by one member of the Astor family. I'm not sure who, but yeah, I mean, the Astors are big time in New York still to this day, I'm sure, right?
What were they? Because it's like a Greek town now.
They're Dutch.
That's like known. Astoria, Queens is known for Greek.
Yeah. I recently read they're going to be doing, when I say they, Hollywood's apparently going to be making a remake or a sequel to the Goonies. I was unclear of what I was, what I read. I don't recall off the top of my head, but it was some sort of Goonies. I believe it was a Goonies remake. And I'm like, you can't be remaking the Goonies. Get out of town.
Yeah, I think they're trying something like that. That's what I think I read too.
That's out of control. Hollywood's out of good idea. I mean, they've been out of good ideas for a while, but like, come on, that's not even.
Well, look how many times they tried pulling off Ghostbusters again.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not. I mean, I'm not going to call the new ones good at all. That's for damn sure. I did kind of like the plot line of was it not the last one, maybe the previous one, when the first one with the kids in it.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? The plot line was interesting because it revolved around this. I don't know if he was an openly Freemasonic too, but I believe he's a Freemason who ran this basically a lodge or something like that inside of some caves in a mountain there.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're trying to bring back that Gozer that was in one of the first Ghostbuster movies back.
Exactly. Bring back Gozer because that the stuff they use, like the iron ore or whatever, not the iron ore, but whatever rock ore they used.
Yep.
In the making of the beams for that skyscraper in the first one, that was it was something with there was some narrative where the particular rocks had some sort of impact on summoning this fucking Gozer beast demon thing, and well, that mountain and not the remake but the rehash of it, right, the revamp of it was that same rock ore. You know what I mean? And I just think that's interesting.
It was, yeah.
I think that's interesting because there is a history of Freemasonic lodges operating in caves and mountains and stuff. So like that's, that is a little bit of a,
right.
I'm not saying that's what they're doing in there, but I mean, who knows, right? It certainly could be. Using that. Trying to use that energy from the rocks to, summon some sort of creature, preferably a giant marshmallow man.
That's right. Always the marshmallow man.
Yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting because, well, I don't know if you all are familiar with the Pennyroyal podcast. They covered, they've done some like season kind of long, like almost serial like style podcast on weird stuff going on in and around this Pulaski County, Kentucky, which is named after Casimir Pulaski, a very prominent member of the Society of Cincinnati, one of the Eastern European kind of royals that popped over here in America and helped fight the war. So obviously it's a mound county, so there's a lot of mounds in this narrative, but there was some strange cult activity and whatnot going on in some like like some not mounds in the mines and caves of a mountain, there that involved, very, very shady folks. Like we talked about it the other night on the Occult Rejects, I believe, that just published today, the Mormon episode there with Howard Hughes. Heidi Love mentioned the gemstone file, and that was something I was going to bring up in part 2. But yeah, it involves people like this guy named Alexander Gaterma, and he was the owner of this mine that was involved in this weird cult kind of business down there in Kentucky, or has these narratives surrounding weird cult business in this mountain and these mines there. But he was owning this stuff up into the 70s when his plane crashed and all of his family died. You know what I mean? I believe he just left that area and was flying to New York. This guy's a very interesting character because he bought the mine from Richard Nixon's VP, Spiro Agnew. Why these people are owning these weird mines in, rural Kentucky is beyond me. But nonetheless, Gaterma is mentioned in that gemstone file associated with the JFK assassination. Allegedly, he was a secret Nazi that was operating under some different, identities kind of deal. But yeah, it's odd that the epicenter of activity surrounding the subjects like that gemstone file that Heidi Love was discussing with us the other day there, Nick.
Yeah, that was a really interesting show, actually.
Yeah, I think there's some a lot of that stuff that's not really fully vetted out as far as the Watergate tales and narratives relative specifically to the Mormons and whatnot.
I do find that I'm almost positive that the Netflix series does focus on them being Mormon, which I actually thought was weird. Unless I'm wrong, but there was something I saw on TV that did focus on people being Mormon that was involved. I was like, wow, surprised you pointed that out.
Wow.
Which Netflix series are we talking?
I might have been the one that had something. There was something to do about Watergate. I think it might be on Netflix. It was one of those apps that there was like a series about Watergate or a show.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
I think it might be more like a comedy almost in a sense.
Okay. I mean, much of American history is a comedy, especially in the last 70 years or so. It's a dark comedy, but it's a comedy nonetheless. And that's when I laugh when folks are like, "Oh, the JFK file release." I'm like, "Well, what files are we talking about here?" Because
right,
no one's going to talk about this gemstone file situation. It's not in the official file record, right? But it clearly has some sort of business around it. So does all these alien cults, preceding and post. Including the connecting principles of the process to the situation, to the wandering bishops and whatnot. Which Heidi started to get into some of those wandering bishops. In the Council of the Nine, right? None of that stuff's going to be in the JFK files.
Right. No.
Are you familiar with some of those narratives there, BT, with the Council of the Nine and some of these alien seances?
Just a little bit. I can't even pronounce guy's name, but I do remember that it was the 70s
guy.
Yes, the seances were big. I mean, everybody was trying to return back to a spirituality. That was real strange.
Oh, you know what?
Spirituality and stuff.
JJ, I forgot to tell you, I got fucking Nephilim Death Squad coming on to actually cover that.
Cover the Council of the Nine?
Nice.
Yeah. And Andreas Puharic or whatever his name is. Yeah. They told me that they could cover that. I was like, what? I was like, yo, I've been bringing that up for years. And not too many people know of that whole story.
Yeah, Lavenda goes over it in one of his books about Manson.
Lavenda is everywhere.
I came across it in a book that was not by Lavenda, and it was believe it or not, in prison. It was like called like the Pyramid Code or the Pyramid. I don't know. It was something weird, and I read it, and there was like a chapter or two.
Was it a red covered book? Was it a red cover book with like a gold pyramid? You remember? I think I've seen that book before too.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, and it went into that whole situation with that. I was like, I've never heard of this before. It goes back to DuPont.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
DuPont family was in there. I think somebody related to the Bushes was in there. I mean, it's supposed to be Egyptian deity stuff. I mean, so it's not really surprising. Everybody back in those days had a major Egyptomania. I
often wonder though if it's just that though, right? Like it's just this kind of Egyptian kind of thing because
because the same thing happened with
Joseph Smith's got that kind of.
It didn't take really long for people to get Sumeromania too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But isn't it weird? Like
Egyptian.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I was even saying even Golden Dawn because I know you were listening with people with like Egyptian looks to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, back in the 1800s, they did run rapid.
What's that?
Oh, back in the 1800s, they did mummy unwrappings. It was a big thing for the Golden Dawn.
Oh yeah.
They,
I just think it's weird that like the Temple of Set, not Church of Satan, Temple of Set has a council of 9. You know what I mean? And they do spawn from these ancient alien cargo cult business. So like I often wonder how forward they're being with their alien business, because folks like the Process, not really on their face are they an ancient alien cargo cult, but then you look at some of their theology and their writings, and they talk about the Watchers and these disembodied alien spirits that live outside the Earth. So the fucking aliens. Okay, yeah, so you guys do alien stuff.
Right. Yeah, did you guys see the news that came out from Florida? The guy selling golden tickets for $99 a pop. He was
golden tickets.
Yeah, he's like, these are tickets. They're made out of gold, and he's selling them for $99 a pop. Some guy named Jesus gave them to him behind some kind of a convenience store, and it was to get him on a UFO flying overhead.
Oh, nice. It sounds like a good time.
What? Wow.
Sounds like that guy was having a good time on whatever he was on.
That's right.
The one thing I wonder with Andrew P. Harch, though, I mean, there is obviously these weird tentacles that lead into the JFK assassination and all that stuff. That is odd, right? But the one thing I wonder about Puharich is, well, a couple of things, but the primary thing relative to the seance isn't it strange he invented some sort of voice to skull technology device? I think it was like an ear implant, like he's like an hearing aid type deal, I believe it was. I believe that's how it was transmitted. But he created this before the seance, right? So he
had to have his technology so he could bullshit people.
That's what I'm saying. Is he the one? Is he the alien overlords telling them what to do?
That's some fishy shit.
Something, man.
Yo, listen,
I wonder, right?
He's a table knocker. He's just knocking under the table.
I'll be totally honest with you. Like, there was even times that I've read looking into Albertus Magnus when he supposedly made an android in the 1200s. People are saying there's more than likely the guy probably knew how to manipulate Mercury with magnetism and just made shit move. Believe it or not, they were saying like if you knew actually certain stuff, you could be surprised. Like, I just think like again, like that might not have been real, and people were led to believe it is. And I think shit like that's been going on for a long time. So who knows?
I don't disagree. I mean, even the Voice of Skull stuff. I mean, there was a guy in the 1950s, I think it was Jose Delgado. He ends up being a Yale professor and CIA and MK Ultra guy, but he started off in Spain, where he's a Spanish dude. He was implanting bowls with a brain chip and controlling the bowls with a remote control. This is like 1955. And I find it hard to believe that's exactly when that technology was invented. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have there was some shit that I had covered a few weeks ago. I think I was telling you about MK Ultra patents. Some of them are a little old. I was kind of surprised. 60s, 70s. I was actually surprised that the shit for the Gateway project is actually patented. I was like, yo, Robert Monroe's got a patent for shit. I was like, this motherfucker.
That's right.
Yeah. Yo, I even found the one for the whole RFID chip in the tooth. I was like, oh, fuck, this 12 Monkeys shit was real.
Right. I often wonder with all the secret patents, the shit we don't know about. If that's the shit we do know about, right? Like the shit you guys covered in that, which was, some pretty freaky shit. It paints a really creepy picture when you realize those patents exist and are likely employed. You know what I mean? That because there's, thousands of secret, stamped secret patents every year, right? Like it's probably some weird shit in those patents.
Yo, there was some that like I didn't even bother covering because I was like, I can't present this. I'm gonna sound like an idiot trying to even explain.
Like a fucking Looney Tune.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I kind of like if you read it correctly and probably perfect, everybody would get an idea of what it was saying. But like, it was literally saying that like it shot some like kind of like light. It was like a thing that would shoot light into the back of your eye and it would affect your ganglion, and that's how it would fucking like do whatever it was trying to do. And I was like, yo, that is fucking insane. Like you're literally like targeting things in the back of your eye with certain light to get people to react.
That is wild.
Serious. I was like, oh, what happens when your eyes get scanned?
That's not new stuff. Been doing that in the occult world for a long time.
Yeah, but it's like
that
fucking new. Wow. Like that's wild. Like, you know how small that shit is, your ganglions in your eyes?
Right.
fuck?
It makes you wonder how they figured that out too, right? Like what kind of testing went on to discover that, or did it start off with an occult concept and they try to prove it through science?
I think that happens a lot.
That's what it is.
I think a lot of
I think that happens. I think that happens like all the time. So they're and not even just maybe an occult concept, but something that would almost of the occult, right? So like, there's this dude who invented this camouflage technology, right? For the was developing it for the developed it for the U.S. government, or with the intention of selling it to the U.S. government. They would apparently later steal it after the meetings with him and whatnot. They just vacuumed they just copied it. Like, oh, what did you build here, buddy? Yeah, we'll look at it. Yeah, we'll just go make this ourselves, and never tell him about it, type of deal. But he would later encounter it and realize that happened. But nonetheless, he developed this based off of seeing the film like Predator, where the Predator monster would, creature would, the alien would have some sort of cloaking technology, where he could just blend in. Right. The scientist developed it. He was a physicist, but he developed it by making a suit with, little tiny, basically little tiny screens, right? So it's little camera, little screen. So it's taking a photo at all times of its surroundings, and then populating that imagery on the screen. So it just essentially creates a whole, false, but prints the background onto the person or object that you have this technology on. And I mean, it's certainly, I don't know enough about these things. I believe light refraction. Yeah, I believe that's certainly part of it. But it's essentially, it creates a camouflage person or object, vehicle, whatnot, and paints, I think these things are very much created. Like, this is an example of this dude saw this technology. Again, it's fictional account of an alien, but nonetheless, aliens are alleged to have cloaking things throughout many accounts, I guess, right, over the years. But this scientist was like, hey, I want to develop a technology that's, kind of an ancient alien cargo cult version of the camouflage technology, if you will.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. I mean, people, like I said, the esotericists, they've practiced these things for millennia, and then when you finally have enough money to throw at it, you could do anything you want.
Right. When we have enough money to throw at it. Have you seen some of the clips about Elon Musk and his AI supercomputing he's been up to in Memphis, Tennessee, nonetheless?
Yeah, right. Tell me that ain't weird.
Well, he doesn't even reference, this is the location where the old gods arose in Memphis, Egypt, and something to that effect.
Yeah, the other guy, which I can't stand the other dude too much either. At least he does make a good point. He's like, yeah, that's kind of disturbing. He's like, that's not funny, right? Like, doesn't he say something like that, which is kind of true?
He seems happy, right? He seems giddy about it, right?
Oh yeah, Elon thinks it's funny. The other guy's like, that's actually like not cool.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
I'll bring up the clip I got. Have you seen this one, BT?
Let me see it.
Let me bring it up here. It's he's kind of he's very much joking about what's seemingly like a dark topic.
Yeah, so, actually, a little more like 5 in the morning. But we got the XAI data center or supercomputer center training from beginning installation to start of training in 19 days, which is the fastest that anyone has ever gotten a supercomputer to train.
And is that in that new building off to the side?
That's in Memphis, actually.
It's in Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where you were?
Yeah.
I see.
Memphis, the capital of ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah. You're bringing what?
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding.
Yikes. Seems a little bit too.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting to listen to Elon when he talks about things, because it's like new people when they discover a new conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? The way they talk about stuff is, it's kind of like jarbled and all over the place. They don't have all the thoughts put in one place, but Elon's like always like that, all over.
Yeah, this AI stuff, it all seems to involve creepy people. Everyone involved in it seems creepy, right? From Peter Thiel I mean, Elon is he's creepy kind of sex cult activities he's always into. I for one think he's probably a Raelian. They're an ancient alien cargo cult, sex cult. You know, they're the ones with the swastika and the Star of David symbol.
Okay.
They've mashed them together.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a symbol that Kanye posted. He got banned for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what got him kicked off of Twitter, right?
Yeah. And Elon's one of his exes was open, I think, about being in the.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't buy this most recent kid. This seems like some sort of weird op being run against them, but like the whole thing seems preposterous. The way it was even orchestrated, you know, by these same kind of a lot of the binder gate kind of associates, if you will. These the folks we're talking about dancing out with these Epstein binders, these pro kind of Zionist folks or whatever. Which again, it seems to be an interesting, more and more of an interesting topic. This whole, you know, whatever's going on with Israel. Because the way I look at Israel is we don't know shit about much of what's going on there because of all of the, you know, my greatest example is they hire one of the best Nazi assassins to come work for them. Like, are you guys kidding me? Like, whatever was going on there, we don't really know the full scale of what. But I look at it like this. And I never really used to buy much into the Rothschilds, this whole Rothschilds runs the world type of business. But obviously the Rothschilds are integral in whatever created Israel, right? Like that's a Rothschilds situation, right? Did you all know that the banker for Ukraine is the Rothschilds company out of France?
With as much that goes on with Ukraine, I'm not surprised.
Right? I did not know. I just realized that looking more into Macron. So Macron, the French president who married his mother is his husband wife, apparently.
Well, if you want to go by Candace Owens' series, he married his father that is dressing up as a female.
Are you familiar with that, BT?
No.
It's fucking disturbing. Something's wrong with the situation. It may not be his father, but there's something wrong with that situation. That is not that is not a chick. And I don't get big on saying those type of things about like this. I'm not one of those dudes that's like every chick's got a cock. You know, this one does.
Yeah, this one definitely does, right? and may in fact be his dad. But so Macron comes from the Ross. He was running the Rothschild Bank there in France. The folks that are Zelensky's banker. I don't think these. You know, I think it's weird that these subjects are so closely related. But it seems like the family in which his husband, wife, possible father came from. So in turn, likely Macron's biological family there is this kind of chocolate mafia family, but they seem to be a branch of the Rothschilds.
Man,
strangely enough.
Yeah, those guys do some pretty crazy stuff too. I mean, gosh, man, I really like to dig into their heads and figure out what it is that they believe in. You know what I mean?
Sure. That's a good question. Because one thing they're on record, the French branch is on record bragging about is they're into incest. Keeping in the family.
Right.
Yo, Bog say JJ knows all about France. Yeah, he's got a loft out there. He's got a flat. Like a fucking
apartment number 7, Périgueux, France. 6. I think it's 6 Nursery Lane is what it translates to. Périgueux, France. Apparently, it's a nice area. It's in the southwestern France. Thinking about visiting sometime.
I would, and if it was nice, I'd be like, "Oh, this is mine, isn't it?" You call the cops and be like, "Yo, people broke into my place."
Right. No, I just think I don't know. As much of a conspiracy theorist I am, it seems like I never really subscribed to the Rothschilds ruling everything, right? But like, they're the ones who back the Rockefellers.
Right.
I was joking around with Jin the Ninja just on Twixter and whatnot. We were talking back and forth there on some DMs. He was even suggesting that maybe that the Bronfman family up there that's a major kind of they branch both Canada and America. This family does as far as their mafia operations go. But one of their main leaders of that family up there in Canada side just died the other day, and we were kind of discussing maybe they're a branch of the Rothschilds, considering the amount of control and power they have.
You got Pete Thomas saying
Amir
Sam
Bronfman?
Hunter that works for them.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, he was the attorney for the creation of the Federal Reserve, sure.
Right.
Which was created on a mound in the Rockefeller's house there in Jekyll Island.
That's right.
So, again, there is a weird narrative surrounding these families, right? I mean, and all these financial subjects, again, the Bronfmans included. So the fellow that died the other day would have been first cousins with Edgar Bronfman Sr., who was involved with, Maxwell's dad, that whole crew, the mega group crew, right? That Israeli kind of billionaire group. Les Wexner, Bronfman, Maxwell, Steven Spielberg. I'm missing a guy. Y'all familiar with that weird club?
Yeah.
For what? The Disney
Just
Club?
as far as just as far as what I don't know what they do. I mean, they just like, hey, we're the mega group. Like, what do you guys do? Like, yeah, we're the mega group.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. I don't know. Whenever the stuff going around the Bronfmans always catches my eye because of all the stuff they're involved with. The Edgar's son is who it never gets mentioned in the media. Edgar Jr. He's one of the major figures behind P. Diddy.
That's probably why.
Yeah, right. Back in 2005, he was running Warner Music Group. He was the CEO, and they did a joint venture with Bad Boy Records. So everything post 2005 was, that Diddy did was associated with Bronfman. Yeah, and Edgar Jr.'s sisters were sex slaves. Well, I don't know if they were sex slaves. They were part of the DOS. They're the upper echelon of the NXIVM cult. And they were financiers of Keith Raniere and the NXIVM cult.
Right.
Interesting group, these Bronfmans.
Damn, NXIVM also.
I think it was also alleged. Do y'all remember? I think it was alleged that James Alefontis of Old Comet Pizza. I know that Nick knows the spot I'm talking about. The owner of Comet Pizza was not a Bronfman, was a Rothschild, because he was definitely photographed with Evelyn de Rothschild and I can't think of her husband's name, the actual Rothschild, their Lord Rothschild. But yeah, so it is strange. I think. I mean, the more I look at these Rothschild things, I'm like, whoa, what is going on? So I kind of look at all the Israel stuff that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got started. What was
Rothschild?
They got started in the 1700s or something out of a ghetto, wasn't it?
The Rothschilds?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a real shady up
banking family. They started charging interest on loans and stuff. That was something that was really not.
Yeah, I mean, they got a real shady story, if you ask me, because suddenly, how are they able to just capture every European nation in their central bank? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
To me, it's like, who are they working with, right? I mean, obviously, the other one's running it, right? But, like, seems to imply they're not the only ones doing it. Like, they got a team. In my mind, they do.
Well, if you have enough money, you can rewrite your own history.
Well, I think in large part they have. They were on paper involved in, the French Revolution, substantially. I think very much in the, in funding the British in the American Revolution and funding the Confederates in the Civil War.
Right.
Which, speaking of Samuel Untermeyer working for the Rothschilds, his father was the Jewish financier of the Confederate Army. So that makes a lot of sense to me that there might be some more connections there. He was a carpetbagger living in New York. Yeah, his father was a wealthy dude who financed the Confederate States of America. He wasn't just he had a history. He didn't just come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think people get wrapped up. They get all wrapped up about Israel and all this other nonsense around it, but like no one really focuses on what I suspect is probably the real topic at hand, the Rothschilds situation surrounding it.
Yo, did you hear about us now getting payment from Ukraine? We're going over there and getting mineral rights.
Yeah.
I was like,
I heard that too. 50% or something like that. It's a pretty big number.
Do they have any minerals?
Well, listen to this. This is what I find interesting, and I don't know why this stuck in my head, but I think 5 or 6 years ago, Bill Gates was giving us talk somewhere, and literally said that Ukraine probably is one of the most like richest countries for soil, and he says due to corruption, they'll never be able to like take advantage of like the dirt they have over there.
But this way you can, because
Is
you'd be
this
like,
the corruption? Is this why?
we,
Is this
we
why?
gave you $350 billion. Wink, wink,
Excuse
nudge, nudge. Give me your minerals.
Because due to corruption, we're getting half of it.
That's right. Gosh, man.
I'd be shocked if they have anything of value there. You know what I mean? Like, because when that area exists as the borderland, they carved that out as a wasteland initially. Anyway, when they started sectoring off that area of the old USSR.
Well, someone was saying that deal was broken when dude was kicked out of the White House today.
Yeah,
I mean,
he showed up in a pajama. I mean, a onesie. So, I mean,
a onesie.
well, he apparently called
I
JD
wouldn't
Vance a
take that
bitch.
see.
Did he?
Yeah, well, in Ukrainian, he called him a bitch. You know, whatever the word is in Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, he definitely looked high. He looked coked out of his mind.
He was
Yeah,
on
again,
something, all right.
There's so much weird stuff about the Ukraine situation. And so when I read today that it involved the Rothschild Bank and the French Rothschild Bank, nonetheless, I was like, well, that's fucking even weirder, because as Nick and I we've discussed in the Idaho 4 podcast relative to the FTX situation. Are you familiar with the FTX cryptocurrency exchange that went south a couple years ago?
Which one was that one?
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, his cryptocurrency exchange was doing a lot of the money laundering with the American tax money that was sent to Ukraine. So there's a lot, Trump in that meeting today, Trump told Zelensky he was going to audit all those transactions. So that should get interesting. And speaking of P. Diddy, Sam Bankman-Fried's sitting in prison with him right now in the same cell. And I believe they have the same attorneys, which, strangely enough, out of other high-profile cases, the same attorneys also represent Luigi Mangione, the fellow that no one really talks about anymore, the guy that assassinated the healthcare CEO. I always think it's weird when there's the epicenter, they got the kind of the same attorneys doing, a spectrum of high profile events. It's the same difference as the prosecutor, right? Like the prosecutor in these cases, they're out of the Southern District of New York, is James Comey's daughter. I believe she even prosecuted the Epstein case.
What is this other Southern District covers Manhattan, the city?
Yeah, the Eastern District is over there in Brooklyn.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I think that's who. I think Brooklyn is who prosecuted Maxwell. I don't believe she was out of the Southern District, but Epstein was. P. Diddy is. Sam Bankman-Fried is. They're all getting prosecuted out of this district office for some reason, right?
Yep.
Even though their crimes really didn't take place there. You know what I mean?
It depends on like where the address is.
Right. Which Diddy's was not there.
No, I'm saying it could depend on like wherever you might have like an address for. You could use that. I don't know if he does.
No, it just seems weird. The jurisdictional situation does seem odd to me too, because that's not. I mean, it's not federal. Is it a federal court?
Yeah, it's federal. It's just usually, and I mean, Nick probably has seen some of this as well. They prosecute. They'll prosecute you wherever they want to prosecute you in a federal court. You know what I mean? It is the feds, right? But like at the same time, like generally speaking, it's where the crimes occurred.
Right.
Generally speaking.
Right.
Well, see, like that was like the situation for me. My crime technically occurred in Nebraska. I still had to go to court in Nebraska, but I had to go to pre-trial federal probation in the district that I lived in.
Right, but they probably could have shipped you out and forced you to go to Nebraska for that, even if they really wanted to.
Oh, fucking nightmare!
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Epstein. Most of Epstein's crimes did not occur in the Southern District, right? And he wasn't even arrested in the Southern District. He was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. So and of course P. Diddy down in Miami, you know what I mean? Sam Bankman-Fried, headquartered out of Delaware, but operated out of the Bahamas. Very odd stuff. I think to some degree, you know, I think that was the response from the Epstein phase 1 of the Epstein file release, right?
Fucking nothing burgers.
They're claiming that the Southern District of New York office is holding that information. So I don't know if they are, because again, I'm very confused of because they're not going to release any of the videos, right? None of that, not even edited versions. Those videos, if they still exist, will never see the light of day, right? Like any kind of videos from anything. I mean, that's my take on it, but
right.
What do you guys ever expect to see any sort of video evidence of anyone at an Epstein property?
No, I don't think video. I doubt it. I don't know.
Because, you know, that's been a long-standing thing, right? Within like the conspiracy culture for years, the you know, various kind of snuff films, whatnot, involving folks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If we're gonna get what are those? What was that one with Hillary Clinton? People, frazzle drip.
There you go. Thank you. I couldn't remember it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like I think people still expect, some folks still expect that. You know, I think that's I don't. You know, I don't even expect to see folks walking in the front door.
It's almost people actually want that to come out. Which is a little fucking disturbing. So.
Like they're rooting for it, right? I don't want to see that shit.
Yeah. Like guys saying in the chat, I don't think there's going to be any of that because there's going to be children in those videos, and that's just not kosher to be showing people.
And I don't want to downplay the situation, but it almost makes me question, like, where are all these victims?
That's what
and again, I'm not saying they don't exist, because obviously there are records of him. You know, the FBI identified 32 victims, at least in the Florida case back in 2007.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that those have all been paid off, and they probably all have non-disclosure agreements, right? Like there's records of that, but I'm saying there's no way all the victims have been paid off. I mean, they have had the Jeffrey Epstein estate have been making payments over recent years off to different victims. So again, there's obviously a record of those victims, right? And all these victims know who they're pimped out to, right? So as far as client lists go, you know, see what I'm saying? Like, the victims are never the ones who've already been paid off are never talking. If there's more of them, where are they? You know what I mean? I'm willing to believe there is more of them, but
now, does that still count if the guy's dead? You can't say anything still?
A lot of those deals were struck after his death. In fact, there was a $40 million payment made in December of 2019 from the estate that to at least publicly has never been identified, with the court questions of who it went to. It seemed like old Jeff was making a withdrawal from his account because he didn't die. But yeah, a lot of those victims have already been paid off. So I mean, there are victims who had been identified. They knew who they got pimped out to. But I just question, like, you know, I don't know that there's thousands of victims. You know what I mean? Like, I know like Maria Farmer, that one victim of his. Right. She claimed like she was seeing like dozens of girls a day. But like, all right. I'm just not willing to believe that. You know what I mean? I got questions about some of her activities and tales otherwise. I mean, the victims we do know about in the media, I find them all very suspect. Maria Farmer, Virginia Giuffre. To me, they're playing a role in a larger performance, right? You know,
right.
And one example of that is Virginia Giuffre sued Alan Dershowitz, or vice versa. She wrote that Dershowitz raped her, and then he sued her. And the result of all of this lawsuit, I don't believe there's any money exchanged to either party. They did pay attorneys. The result of all of this was a bunch of evidence got sealed. Like, well, wait a second. I didn't even know that was possible in a civil case. You could go seal criminal evidence in the case, but they did that. It seems very odd.
No, I have wondered if to what extent his operation really was like with that. No, I had always wondered, like, I just figured there might have been more people to come out, especially after he was dead.
I thought so. I would expect that too, right?
Yeah.
You don't even see it in the tabloids, though, right?
Exactly. Or even people saying it just to try to make a quick buck on the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those people were saying they were going to get arrested. That was all that stuff.
There's no shortage of abuse victims, interviews on the interwebs, but like none of them are from Jeff's operation.
Right. Maybe dude ran a sex cult, some kind of MK Ultra style sex cult, man.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying he didn't victimize these young girls or anything, but what I'm saying is like to what extent, how I honestly expected more victims. It really paints a dark picture. If they do exist, how are they keeping the fucking lid on all this? Right?
Do you think
is it the same way they kept a lid on it for so long?
Is it something that's going to be like they just keep like pimping out to try to give like people hopium with and entertainment? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, how long has this been going on for now? If you really think about that,
dude,
they've been milking this motherfucker for a while.
Almost 6 years.
Yo, you know what? I was even thinking today. I was like, for all you know, they did this just to get a read on how people on the right are still okay with getting nothing. Just now, you just have to go on social media and see how people are reacting to it.
Oh yeah.
How many millions of people are saying it had to be this way? Some stupid shit like that. Trust the plan still. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but what you're inferring, I don't think it has to be political. It's just like it's a more modern version of the JFK document release, which again they're touting along with the Epstein release now, right?
Yep.
Season 1 and season 2 of the PSYOP.
Yeah. What's next?
How long have they been touting the JFK files, man? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I honestly don't even. I just feel like something stupid is going to go with this. Like some reason why, like something doesn't come out. I don't know.
Things have already gotten stupid. Yesterday, the House GOP Judiciary Committee's Twixter account. That's a lot of words. House GOP Judiciary Committee. There we go. Sounds like I was drunk there when I was saying it. They tweeted out yesterday a link to the Epstein files release. It was a Rickroll. You clicked on it. It was Rick. It took you to Rick Ashley.
Nice.
Like that. Things have already gotten stupid. You know what I mean?
That's just bad.
That's it's funny. Well, now I can't do it, but I actually on an episode where I made one of my own intros, I almost thought about Rickrolling people.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's funny.
Yeah.
But
like have like some like build up, and then it was gonna go right into the fucking song.
Yeah, the day they're gonna do this binder gate nonsense, they're also gonna do this whole thing where like, oh yeah, check this out. We're also gonna play this silly game, right? And Rickroll you on the file release. Like it's a little over the top.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, you know what? Like, as soon as I heard this, I was like, well, this is a bunch of fucking silly shit now. That they gave it to people prior.
Right. Oh, the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm like, now this is fucking silly. And then you see like all of them are all Zionists. One guy's got the what was that symbol that we found that was on the guy's hand?
A Jerusalem cross. This one. Crusader cross.
Yeah, it was just like, what's
on some lady's hand, some lady's wrist.
Yeah, this one.
The Knights of Jerusalem, yeah. I don't know that I've seen. I looked at pictures to see who's wearing this. I didn't see a picture of anyone wearing this though.
What's interesting, one, it's in the section where you make a V kind of with your veins. But remember before I said if you look at how I said if you kind of look at it in a certain way, I could probably send it to you. It does kind of look like the structure for blood, and it's right on her veins.
Yeah, it is right on her veins. I couldn't imagine getting a tattoo right there. That's got to hurt.
For sure.
Yeah, that's on purpose. Like I said to you guys before this brief show, you don't take a photo like that without trying to show off your tat.
Oh, it's very, very, very much.
That's on purpose.
Very much so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to know the identity of this person.
Right.
There is I think there is pictures that put you on the spot and try to go find it now. I think there is pictures like showing all of them together. I guess if you find the chick that was wearing that dress, you know who it was.
Yeah, I looked at the ones where they came out of the West Wing. They're dancing with the binders.
Oh, she's not there.
No, she's not in that. She's at least not in that initial group. But I don't know how. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if this is a staffer. I don't know. You know, this could be someone who works at the White House.
Could be a dude.
It looks like that's some dude's hand. What it looks like. You're absolutely right.
She's got a dick.
It could be a dude,
Another
but
one.
I'm going with that. Looks like a female. That's a female sized wrist.
That's all. That's all you need to a Q-tard. Is this picture right there? Yep, she's got a dick.
Right. Right.
I just still you know, the idea that they rickrolled people on these files yesterday, to me is just still, again, it's over the top. I mean, to the extent that, that's what I'm saying, to the extent that there are more and more of these victims out there that no one's heard of, like, you know, it's just, it seems like a very very bad taste to rickroll somebody in that environment. But again, I don't know how to me, it begs the question of to what extent is this Epstein operation in general, right? Again, I'm willing to believe there are victims, you know, whatnot, but the way they try to sell it is there's thousands of victims. Well, we don't have evidence of thousands of victims.
I mean, missing numbers, whatever county that is that has the Bohemian Grove has like the largest number of aborted fetuses per the rest of the state of California. So I mean, that's an example of some bizarro stuff too.
Yeah, that's kind of dark.
So I mean, it's just, you know, I don't believe in coincidence.
Well, you know, the more I look at everything going on around the, you know, especially U.S., you know, parapolitics and politics and whatnot, it's just everything seems to revolve around the Epstein situation right now. Whatever's going on there, whatever's occurring, whatever has occurred, whatever will occur. For example, Trump appointed the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. A name probably most folks have never heard of. Oh, did I freeze up? I froze?
No,
you're fine.
You did for a little bit on my end.
But Howard Lutnick literally shared a wall with Jeffrey Epstein. He lived in the townhouse next door.
Okay.
He held a and on top of that, he held a fundraiser, a very high dollar fundraiser for Hillary Clinton in 2016 there at that townhouse. This is before old Hefe's, you know, arrested. I don't know if he was there. Maybe he was. I'm not sure. Bill Cosby used to lives across the street. It's a very narrow road too. So I mean, it's like 40 feet.
You think there are Cosby and people together?
Dude, I mean, how many times, like how many Epstein parties think Cosby, dude, danced his way over there? You know, Cosby danced his way over there
When he wasn't at P. Diddy's place.
right?
Like Ebony and Ivory over there.
Well,
Just
put it
house
up.
motherfuckers running up in people while they're fucking knocked out.
An endless supply of Jello pops.
That's right. All the pudding pops you can have.
Oh,
Yep.
Pudding pops and baby oil. I mean, come on, what were they doing?
Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. You know, again, I often wonder how separate is the whole Cosby situation from the Epstein affair, right? Because again, they lived across the street for a long time from one another.
That's right.
Pudding
Wow.
pops were good. Yeah, they got rid of those, didn't they?
He did.
They had to go through a real brand remarketing, didn't they? As long as
I think they're just called
Subway
fudge pops now. Yeah, I don't think you can get pudding pops anymore.
Yeah, they had a real serious remarketing of their brand, no different than Subway did after the Jared Fogle debacle.
I lost 500 pounds eating nothing but Subway.
Oh, dude. And looking into that situation, like the people at Subway, they knew.
Oh yeah,
They knew.
come on, man.
Well, what would happen was looking at a lot of the lawsuits, because some of the franchisees sued Subway as well, sued corporate, because they were shipping this guy around to all these events, and like every event they had, he was having a problem with kids. There was franchisees asking him not to send them back.
Wow. Yeah.
the audacity of that guy, he actually sued one of his victims from prison. He sued one of his victims' parents and demanded money from them, blaming them for him raping their kid. I'm like, wait a second, dude. What is going on in life?
Your kid made me do it.
Yeah.
That's right.
The parents were at fault for Fogel raping their daughter, according to Fogel.
They had the kid, right? That's why.
Yeah, who owns Subway? That's a great question. I believe it's a one of those private financial firms, right? One of those private equity firms.
Probably BlackRock now. Just
Probably saying. BlackRock now, right?
It's a registered agent, CT Corp, probably.
I mean, they got some power, dude. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, every years ago, I recall, tested their chicken sandwich, right? Their grilled chicken sandwich. Realized it was like 55%, like, soybean or something like that. It wasn't chicken. And somehow Subway was able to like shut down that entire like news report, and you know what I mean? Like it got weird for them after that. Definitely got some money in that situation. Are you what are your thoughts on the Nick and I were talking about the Epstein stuff a little bit, recently, but what are your thoughts on all this Epstein stuff? Not just the list, but like, what are your thoughts on the Epstein situation in general there, BT?
Well, it always seems to come out at convenient times. I mean, that's what I'm noticing, right? I mean, it's not like,
right.
There's all sorts of other things going on in the world right now, and it's just Epstein. So basically what ends up happening is if you watch a video on your Instagram or TikTok or whatever, your algorithm's going to just flood you with more of the same information, and it just to get you to watch more of the stuff. And so every single time Epstein, anything gets touted around, it's usually right around the same time real stuff is going on and real lives are being affected by, whatever's gone on. I mean, some of the stuff going on with the J6 guys and the trials and the
right.
evidence that's coming out now is getting no TV time, but Epstein Nothing Burger is on everybody's, it's on all the big broadcasters. So they're not talking about all these guys who were literally abused by the United States government.
No, and that's a great point, or at least great comparative point to show where the FBI is very effective at rounding up grandmas who walked within the ropes that day. But,
yeah.
This Epstein situation, we just can't figure it out.
Right. Yeah, we know exactly where they were in the Capitol building, but we can't. We don't know where the victims are, and why there should be thousands, but there's probably hundreds or dozens, things like that. But it's every time something that's big that's going on, Epstein gets touted around, and it's kind of weird. It bothers me a little bit because it doesn't. Like I said, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in cover up, and it's like that's what's going on with the media. Make everybody pay attention to my right hand, and you can't see the left hand in your pocket or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by Epstein because it makes no sense. No aspect of the Epstein situation makes no sense. What you're describing makes a lot of sense. It's being used as a method of distraction, which I think that's a very great point. Every aspect of it seems to have been used as since his arrest, right? For whatever purpose they decided to arrest him that day, because that was, Bill Barr was the attorney general at the time. So, seems odd that old Bill Barr would have been the one signing off on that arrest, right?
Right.
Considering his background and, being such a great cover-upper for things such as Iran-Contra, et cetera. But nonetheless, like, there is certainly something to what you're saying. There's certainly validity to that, but like, he's the man of Jeffrey Epstein is such an enigma, and the way that he's like the media chooses to report on him is far more anomalous than the man himself.
Right.
So it is, and it's weird. So it's weird how they frame these distractions too, because they could really just roll out a 24/7 Jeffrey Epstein channel like they did in the 1990s with his VH1 Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous kind of clip. We could have a whole Jeffrey Epstein channel talking about this man's life and how fucking weird it is, right?
Right.
But they don't do that. They use it as some very targeted and other kind of distractions.
No, they just bring it out, seasonally, whatever season they need to recycle this information.
Yeah, they got different seasons. They the beach season Jeff campaign. They got the fall campaign, right? You know, you roll them out like any kind of marketing campaign would.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, well, because you know, one of the things that really has always long troubled me with Epstein is they always want to focus on Little St. James Island, right? There in the Virgin Islands, which, hey, great. I mean, there was some creepy shit going on there. That's the one with the weird temple and everything else like that. You know, he obviously had, you know, done some shady shit there, some nefarious shit there. Don't get me wrong there, but he had purchased the island next door, Great St. James Island.
Right.
It had been violated and had not filed for any permits, and had violated so many laws in the Virgin Islands that during the first Trump administration, they had a change of, you know, I don't know if they vote for a governor or territorial governor, whatever I forget exactly how it goes down. Epstein had paid off the previous governor. They had a change of people, and then he started getting sued for all the construction work he was doing on Great St. James Island. So there's no visibility. There's never been a permit filed. I believe officially construction has now been shut down, but you can find almost zero reporting on a lot of those activities. And, you know, the dude was full scale operations over there with construction for years preceding his death.
Man. Well, somebody said that the Epstein Island complex, the shape of the island looks like the Nickelodeon Splat. Have you heard this one?
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, it kind of does.
It's kind of creepy when you're, wait a minute, Nickelodeon's for kids. And then it's like Epstein Island.
Nickelodeon lost another child star this week, Michelle Trachtenberg.
That's right. That's right.
She was of the Dan Schneider era of Nickelodeon. Yep. When they, you know, they got real heavy to the feet and Splat thing. Well, if you think about Nickelodeon, though, I mean, the original Nickelodeon years, you know, the term Nickelodeon comes from old pornos, right?
Yeah. 5 cents.
And the first, if y'all remember the show in the 80s on Nickelodeon where they dropped the green slime on the kids,
right?
You can't say that on television.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the context of the Epstein Island, the logo looking like the Epstein Island, and all this, you know.
Yep.
Other
it becomes real gross real fast.
Puts that in a different context. Puts that in a real dark context.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's I don't know how any of those Nickelodeon kids. I mean, it's some dark shit. Whatever went on there is not good. It's not good.
Right. Now you got some good stuff going on in your chat. Someone had mentioned the use of fetus tissue in food as flavor enhancers. You guys hear this about Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola is doing something similar to that, using human cells in their flavors.
Yeah, it was. I know you're talking about. I missed that. Oh, here we go. I missed that comment in the chat. Put up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was made from the aborted kidneys of aborted fetuses.
Something else, man.
Kidneys.
It's like, yeah, what is this? I mean, you know, the food is people. I mean, what do we do?
I didn't even ever get to the idea of even thinking of this.
Yeah.
Well, they got to use the whole hog.
Well, they're because they're
already. I don't mean to be crass about it, but I mean they got to use the whole hog. You know?
They got to get rid of what?
Damn.
So I don't know if y'all remember, like I believe it was James O'Keefe, the coincidence there's.
Nice.
You have to at this day and age. I wonder how some folks don't start, just kind of normal folks, the normies, if you will, don't start having a greater. And again, I think they do, and I know Nick and I have talked about that some.
Right.
I don't know about your thoughts on what you've kind of seen there, BT, or Nick for that matter, you as well. But it's starting to seem to me like a lot of folks are entering into coincidence theories. So they don't want to call themselves a conspiracy theorist land, but like
a
lot of things I think are becoming self-evident to people.
Well, there's the fact that somebody had done a study that 50% of people don't actually have an internal dialogue. So you take 100 people, 50 of them don't have an internal running dialogue. They're basically NPCs. And it's those are the people that are like sitting in front of like the CNN, the Fox News, and just like, whoa. And then they regurgitate it when they're in family meetings, like it's their own thoughts and opinions. And it's like, you sound like Tucker, right? I mean, everything you've just said is a direct quote from Tucker. What are you doing? Do you have any opinions of your own? No. And so
I think there is an aspect to that.
And none of those people are waking up. They're not going to wake up. They're the ones that are okay with the nothing burger of Epstein files and the binder and stuff.
Right. No, there's certainly there's certainly a segment of society that I see a lot of those people around. I'm like, oh man, this person looks lost. You know what I mean? But like,
Same people who
Because they are.
Same people who made excuses for him coming out with a vaccination for cancer fucking second day as president. Same people
That's somebody who
justify
sounds
that and ignore
vaccinated.
that are going to accept this and come up with excuses for this.
Right. That's my new favorite insult. You sound vaccinated.
You sound vaccinated.
Still can't believe that shit.
But Nick, did you see any of that? Like the at least amongst some segments of society, things are becoming more self-evident. I think things are just, to me, are happening at a such a quick rate that people are just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I do believe that, but I think I don't know. It's kind of wild how like some people still just don't see things. I don't know.
Sleepers.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect everybody. Yeah,
It's just weird though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just my opinion.
it does make you wonder. Yeah, what the precipitating event would need to be for some folks, right?
Yep.
Power of programming, or
It'd be really good to get some sleepwalkers to wake up.
It's not really a Christian apocalypse, but it's kind of an apocalypse in a sense, right? In the old Greek sense of apocalypse,
Right.
where everything that's
Revelation.
everything that's hidden is becoming public, kind of deal.
Yep. It's exactly what apocalypse means. It means a revelation, a revealing.
Yep.
I
do think that's what I kind of see as far as the self-evident nature of, or what people are determining as self-evident, right? Stuff that should, quite honestly, I'm not gonna say I don't fall into some of that camp to some degree, right? I think everybody does, but some things are just becoming more self-evident, right? I think for example, I think something people are like, you can think whatever you want for this Doge situation, but I think it has brought to the question, why are we sending all this money everywhere, right? But when we can't even fix potholes in America, and we're broke, every government agency saying they're broke, right? That kind of deal. Like,
yeah, I live in a small town. I know all about potholes that don't get fixed.
There you go. Yeah, it's I used to sit in budgetary meetings, working headquarters of the Air Force in DC, and I can I can assure you that these kind of thoughts of not sending money, people just, if money's being sent somewhere or into an account or a function, the idea of stopping that is like sacrilegious within the confines of the Beltway of DC. You can only add money to accounts and venues. You can't ever stop money. So like, you know what I mean? Like even talking to like money changers in DC, like they don't get that concept. But I think it's becoming more self-evident to the public. Like, why do we send money everywhere? Like what the fuck? Like what are we accomplishing with all this money getting sent everywhere? And I'm not just exclusively saying, transgendered surgeries in India, which is but I'm, the whole spectrum of activities.
Right.
I just, it's incidents like that where I'm like, because I've been saying these things I had a very unpopular opinion in DC for many years, like trying to operate there with the, like, why are we doing foreign aid? Like, what the fuck is that about? You know what I mean? Like, these kind of ideas, like, why do we need to spend this money on, even within the Department of Defense? They don't like downsizing anything. I downsized a lot of shit over a number of years, and I, consolidated a lot of things to make, more economic sense. These are not activities that went well in DC 10 years ago, right? 15 years ago, right? They do now, right? I think that'll be a new trend. I think this Doge idea will be something the states will even adapt. I think it's going to cause people to ask a lot of, personal questions and, social questions, like, what the fuck is going on around here? That's not even getting weird with the kind of apocalyptic ideas. That's just a very basic, like, how do we run shit around here if we can't even fucking, why are we shipping money everywhere if we can't even fix a damn pothole?
Right.
Which should be self-evident, but like it hasn't been, right? Like there's been we have a history of these things, like, oh, we can't fix these fucking potholes, but like let's ship money over there, right? Or let's fund this dumb shit.
Yep, it really doesn't cost $40,000 for a hammer.
Right?
Freaking joke, man.
Yeah, that was kind of the bit out of the 80s, right? The $40,000 hammers, but we have $100,000 soap dispensers in airplanes now, right?
Apparently.
Like, so it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop, right?
Heck, man.
I'm sure those O-rings being made out of some Mormon's house in Utah for the Challenger, probably mad expensive for no reason.
Right. What are your thoughts on the Challenger though in general, there, Nick? Everyone can see they blow up, but what are your thoughts on the whole situation? Because there's a lot of questions around that event.
That event, I've thought different things about it over time. I guess once I started getting a little bit more into like understanding maybe occultism or even just conspiracies, I do remember for me, because and you know, hearing from other people who lived in different parts of the world, I guess due to there was a teacher going on there, it was shown in schools.
Oh yeah,
you know, fucking traumatized kids
for sure.
That image. So I do wonder about that. And then not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but if you go online, you can kind of almost find proof of these people still alive.
Right.
Right.
So then you're like, well, what happened? I thought you blew up. Yeah. So I don't know what to think about that situation anymore.
No, I mean, not only still alive, some of them going by the exact same name.
Yeah, and I think they've actually have accomplished stuff too, haven't they?
Right. Yeah. They're the exact same people, and they've done the exact same things what they should have been doing. You know,
it's like,
for example,
you've done stuff since you've died. That's impressive.
Right.
Right. Well, not the teacher, but the other female on the mission, Judith Resnick. She's a professor at Yale. Her name is Judith Resnick. She's not even hiding it, right? She, you know, it's a little bit Looney Tunes in that regard.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on that, BT?
For the Challenger and all those people running around, that's the same.
You've seen those doppelgangers?
I've seen all of it. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, that the idea that, you know, the rocket went up and exploded or whatever. I mean, it's my favorite story was somebody said, well, it hit against the dome of the, you know, because it's flat, right? Yeah, so it hit the dome and they misalign, and there's, you know, because the rockets just fly over and they splash down in the Indian Ocean. It's just a big show, you know. Yeah, and so you got all these people running around saying, "Oh no, my teacher is the one that was on the Challenger space shuttle. She didn't die." And so it's kind of I don't know what to think about all that. I think it's all show and tell and smoke.
Right.
Comes around every once in a while, like the Epstein file. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
it makes us hyper focus on what, you know, when we say that we're free to examine, investigate anything that we want to do, you know, but it really seems we're really limited on what's available on the internet to investigate, to be honest.
No, for sure. I mean, there's something to that with the what is available for us to draw our attentions to, right?
Right.
I'm not. Yeah, I think this one may have caught folks just completely off. Whoever hides this shit, whatever force is behind such an effort, because I mean, these are clearly the same people. I mean, to believe these are not the same people, you have to convince yourself that your eyes are lying to you, right? I mean, I think this fellow, the black fellow here, McNair, I believe he's supposed to be twin brothers with this guy, and this is supposed to be his twin, right? But the rest of these people have no twins. This is just their doppelganger. This dude with the kind of the wonky kind of fisheye type situation on the sides of his head. Dick Scobie here. He seems, you know, you're gonna find two people with that kind of wonky eye, dude? Get out of here.
Yo, you ain't right. That's way to.
So I don't know where this video's gone to, because, you know, a lot of like you're just saying, BT, like what's available on the interwebs to draw our attention to in the first place.
Well, not only that, but I think there's groups of individuals that are literally designed. What do they call that? Opposition. They literally design conspiracy theories and kind of start to tout them, and they just bring them in their own little circles and start to interject them into, you know, chat rooms and stuff like that to really get more listenership and headway, and they just kind of blow stuff up. They design and control National Enquirer, so more people are seeing the BS news stories, you know. The driver shot JFK, for example. I mean, all of these things are going around, and And I think they're all designed to cause argumentation amongst whatever group you're in. I mean, if you're a coincidence theorist or whatever, the main goal is to cause division and separation within every order and group of people.
There's definitely certain ideas or topics out there that can do that.
Exactly.
Like even flat Earth.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Flat Earth. I was going to say flat Earth.
I can give a flying fuck if it's flat around, honestly, in the long run.
It doesn't even matter, man.
Yeah,
it has no bearing on my life.
Yeah.
Well, just to your point there, BT, the flat Earth seems to have been started by the CIA in their own scientific documents.
Right.
From like dating back to the 60s, they do scientific studies saying that they're presuming this study is only correct if they presume a flat Earth, right? The Earth is a flat plane. The U.S. Army rocket folks do it. The Nazis out of Huntsville, Alabama, same thing. So they're the ones that seem to me to have seeded these ideas. But in recent years, some of these flat earthers try to track down these challenger people, and they put a camera in some of these folks' faces. So they've kind of, mashed those two. They're they're mashing the two subjects together. I think in what you're saying, kind of a controlled opposition kind of way.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, the thing is, like anybody who writes like a college level paper, you're told to present an argument, and then if you just spend all your time looking for evidence that supports your claim, you haven't really done an argument at all. And that's kind of the whole point is, you get individuals who will only stick within their own field and just look for evidence that supports their own ideas.
That's a good point, sure. So this video used to exist in the interwebs. I'm not sure if it still does. It was one of the training missions for the Challenger, right? Where they were apparently flying one of the Challenger, space shuttles, like in low Earth orbit or something like that. I don't remember all the nonsense they were trying to tell. It was a couple years, like 2 years prior to the explosion, so maybe 84.
Right.
I think it was maybe something like that. This fellow right here was the captain of the pilot of that craft. It was entitled "God's Head Shows Up in NASA Video" because they were clearly using a miniature, right? So in the video you saw inside this dude in the pilot seat, right? A couple of people strapped in that. It was like an airplane kind of cockpit setting, right? In that style of shuttle.
Right.
But then they would show an outside picture, right? Like, I don't know how you're getting a camera shot from the front of the aircraft, right? Nonetheless, no one's asking those questions. These questions seem self-evident today. In the 80s, people just saw like, oh, shoot, they must have a camera out front in space filming this aircraft, right? The spacecraft.
There was a lot of stuff.
It seems self-evident.
It's all in Hollywood basement, just like Star Trek was filmed, man.
I was going to say, there's a lot of stuff like that with the moon landing where you're like...
no, right. Yeah, looking back now at that moon landing, that's a good point. I'm looking back at the moon landing, it just seems self-evident. But at the time, like, it wasn't.
What about like the cameras?
This video with McNair. What's that?
What about the cameras that filmed the atomic bombs?
That's another great example. they're nuclear bomb proof, dude. It's quite an invention.
Make your houses that made out of that. You're good to go.
My goodness, the cameras are nuclear proof, but not the houses. Yeah.
The houses blew up, right? The cars, the people, they're gone. But the
what
cameras.
What are we going to build our houses out of now? Same stuff those cameras are made out.
Right. Exactly.
My gosh.
Blue tarps.
In the training mission for the Challenger missions, this McNair fella, they show him piloting the craft, and they show the front of the craft, and then in that shot of the front of the craft, you see the dude operating the miniature's head in the background. He's on screen for like 2 seconds before he realizes his head's popped up on the screen. Yeah, so like,
that's right.
I mean, Hollywood. There's a lot of Hollywood magic going on in those earlier Challenger things. I guess the point of what I'm getting at is, if there's Hollywood magic going on preceding the Challenger thing, why wouldn't the Challenger explosion itself be Hollywood magic? And you have all these people still existing today.
Right.
If it's anything like Black Mirror, they never go anywhere anyway.
I'm not familiar with that show.
Yeah, Black Mirror, they never went anywhere. They were just made to believe like that they did, but they didn't go anywhere. Yeah. But tell you the truth, I've even wondered, like, how would you know if that was not done to you?
Right. Right. I mean, it was like a PR show, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you were one of these astronauts, how would you not know you're getting into something that never went anywhere?
Right.
The only proof you have is this screen or window in front of you.
Yeah, they could just be mind controlling them, is what you're saying?
Dude, you can go. I mean, man, there's rides at Disneyland. I just got back from Disneyland earlier this year. And, some of that stuff is pretty darn real. You know what I mean?
When I was a kid, I don't know if I forgot which one it's. I think it might be MGM Studios.
Sure.
fucking Back to the Future ride. You didn't go anywhere. You sat in the car, and all the screens and everything made you feel like that you were.
That's right. That's right.
Sure.
Same shit.
Well, that's the idea with some of the VR and augmented reality stuff, right? Is to have that, to you could sit there and feel like you're somewhere else, right? So you start drugging people up or hypnotizing them. I think you could easily convince folks they went places.
Do anything you want.
Yeah, there was like, Black Mirror. Some dude realized, like, I think there was no condensation occurring somewhere, and like in these little ports that he was supposed to be checking, and he's like, we didn't go anywhere. And then when he figures it out, like, I think these aliens like fucking knock them all off. It's fucking weird.
Right.
I'm like, oh, we might save this one because he figured it out. Some shit like that. Yeah.
Like it was as a slave, save him as a slave.
I think so. Yeah. But I think the thing was is that they were going to call the bluff, and they were like, fuck it, we're opening the door.
Well, they didn't drug or hypnotize Stephen Hawking. Somehow Jeffrey Epstein got him on a submarine.
Magic.
I've long wondered how the fuck you take this
Disney ride?
fella. Right? Is this a Disney ride? Right. It kind of looks like one, right? Has the appearance of one.
Yeah, the way to get into those submarines,
why, right?
The way to get into those submarines is not that easy. So I have no idea how they would have got dude in there unless they assembled a contraption for him to sit in. Is just what I'm saying. I mean, it looks like he's looking like he's sitting on a hand cart, but
yo, right? That's what I was thinking of.
He doesn't have a speaking.
Here, sit in this box on this hand cart. You should be fine.
Yeah. Fucking strapped his head to the pole. Pause.
I just think this is one of the weirdest aspects of the Epstein situation. Like, why does no one ask? Not only why, but like, how did you get Stephen Hawking in this submarine? Like, and how is it healthy for him? Because like I have to imagine with Lou Gehrig's disease, the bends might be a real problem. Yeah,
pressures.
Dude's already got the bends,
right? He's got,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
The different. I was referring to a different kind of bends, but yes, he's already got the bends.
That's right. That's terrible.
Right. Wow. Sorry.
Right. But no, speaking of Stephen Hawking and the bends, like I saw someone said he's an actor. Yeah, for sure. He certainly has all the appearance of such. So like my question is, why is this not a this little speak and spell device? Why is this not a commercially available product?
Speak and spell.
Yeah.
Oh, Pink Floyd.
Speak and spell is a product you can buy. You can buy your own
Stephen Hawking. They could call it the Stephen Hawking speak and spell. This thing would sell millions of units.
Man.
Why is this not a thing?
God.
The eye-operated system. I have not a clue.
Yo, you could sell that as like a programmable, like AI thing. People.
It'd be great for introverts, man. You know how much I just hate having to talk to people. Let me talk to you by speak and spell. I'm busy. Give me 5 minutes to say something.
Did he have a Neuralink? Did he get Neuralinked up? You know what I mean? How does he communicate with the speak and spell?
It was all done by eye movement. It's kind of an interesting system.
Some
people think that it wasn't, but you know.
MC Hawking.
You guys just have a really good chat. I love it.
BT, do you find this technology to be something that's real?
I think the application could be used and it could be real. I have no idea. I would have to look at it technically and examine that it can track eye movements the way that it says it does. Otherwise, I don't buy it. Right.
That's the way it claims it. I didn't even know that. That's the way it claims
it.
Yeah,
it's how he moves his eyeball. He basically has like a little cursor he looks at, and you play Duck Hunt on the old Nintendo system, and you'd shoot the stupid ducks. I mean, you can't use that gun on modern TVs. It has to be the old tube TVs. It's just the way that works. And so it's like the same thing is it's where you're looking on the screen. It's the same thing with his pupil. It tracked his pupil and it would say where it stopped on whatever letter. That's why it took forever. If you go to anything of his, if it's not pre-recorded, pre-typed up, he takes forever to answer questions.
Interesting. I didn't know that about that. I just assumed that if this was real, it would be commercially available to people.
It should be. It should be. It should be something that's available for other individuals who have the same kind of problem as he does.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Right. That as far advanced as his was, that other people should have that same technology.
Isn't it strange that he lived like 72 times longer than Lou Gehrig after getting diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease?
Yeah, we should call it Stephen Hawking's disease.
There you go, right?
I mean, that's usually what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a lot of questions about old Steve here these days, but as far as, relative, like what was Epstein's interest? I mean, I think technically speaking, he was a guest of Lawrence Krauss on the island. Lawrence Krauss is the astrophysicist from Arizona State University. But again, why is Epstein involved in astrophysics? It's odd. There's always these stories about the baby farm, right?
Yeah, that one right
big
there.
Eugenics and all that
Baby
stuff.
farms.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, that's
always
what some of those. That's what some of those cults were doing. They would make, and the leader would. Anyways, just real gross stuff going on with some of them sex cults in the early days.
They're using them as a homunculus.
Yes, that's even worse.
Little homunculus walking. Walking the homunculus.
I think he was pretty high up on hoping that people would figure out how to transplant brains, man. I mean, if they figure that one out, Hawking would still be around.
Transhumanism,
right? Plus.
That seems to be the going rate of everyone in science and technology these days.
So stupid. Live forever. Control Alt Delete. Sorry, we didn't need your program anymore.
Midgets helped him. Hawk probably just needed a massage. Yeah, I bet he did. The muscles hurt on that ALS.
Just a good chiropractic treatment. Fix that right up.
Yeah.
Did BT? Did you know that? Speaking of that Zorro Ranch, where allegedly the baby farm was, which is, if that stuff's true, sure, that's weird. I question whether or not that was just some sort of false narrative that was portrayed, because no one talks about how much he was involved in AI stuff. I think he had a lot of. I think that was an AI, some sort of supercomputing AI farm that he had set up out there. That's my opinion.
Sure, why not?
There's evidence to support that, but nonetheless, no one talks about those subjects. However, he did win the lottery. Are you familiar? He won the lottery under the LLC or the trust that he owned that property under, the Zorro Trust. He won the Oklahoma lottery in 2008, $40 million.
$40 million.
He won the lottery.
Right.
Jeffrey Epstein wins the lottery.
Sets up a supercomputer. I mean, we've had AI.
It's weird. I mean, is that a payment for something? Who knows? But I mean, it's odd.
The Oklahoma Lottery Board owed Jeffrey Epstein $40 million for a weekend visit to the island.
Well, it gets deeper than that. So I looked into that situation. It's part of the multi-state lottery corporation out of Iowa.
Okay.
The head of security of that actually got busted for fixing lotteries in a lot of states. I don't think that whole narrative has really been bore out, but he would have been responsible for fixing that lottery for Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's the guy that owed Jeffrey Epstein some money for the all expense paid.
Or whoever runs, this is the people that run the Powerball, right? So it's whoever runs the Powerball owed Jeffrey Epstein, right? This guy's just the head of security who's fixing shit for him.
Yeah. I mean, I just heard on the news some 78-year-old dude won the lottery around here, and so it's kind of like, cool. Why is some dude that old winning the lottery? You know what I mean?
It makes you. I really do wonder. Are you all familiar with this huge lottery scam that never really got bore out? The Tipton brothers. That was it. Tipton, because he brought his brother into it too. As a judge, I think, in Oklahoma. Oh, dude, it was oh shit, he's out now. He did 5 years. I don't think they ever really wanted to look into how much this scam went into, right, or how deep it was, right? It was one they just swept under the rug type of deals,
right?
But I mean, it involved the multi-state lottery, and this dude was the head of their security, like their IT security stuff. So he was scamming everything from knowing the numbers they're drawing, right? He had a system for basically every game they were running. He even knew which scratch offs to purchase and where the scratch offs, what stores they were sold. That's how his brother got caught. He was a judge, I believe, in Texas, but maybe purchased a scratch off in Oklahoma. But yeah, he sent his brother and said, "Hey, go buy a scratch off here and buy these scratch offs, and you'll win it." And he did. So whatever the whatever's going on with that scandal, again, why does everything seem to revolve around Jeffrey? Like Jeffrey Epstein again,
right?
They could run a 24/7.
And just out of the blue
channel.
too, you know what I mean?
What's that?
It's just out of the blue. That there was no like real lead up. Everybody was like, the JFK files would be released and the Martin Luther King Jr. thing would be released, but now it's like Epstein. See what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. These distractions are being. I mean, the JFK distractions got a lot of miles for folks, right? Like that's
right.
They've got a lot. They got a lot out of that narrative. The Epstein, I think they're just kind of they're revamping some of that playbook and using the same kind of deal. That makes a lot of sense to me. But it's mind-boggling to me the extension of which this guy Jeffrey Epstein literally is connected to everything.
Right.
Again, these aren't the scandals anyone talks about, right? Again, like no one really connects the Tipton fraud scandal of the lottery to the reason why Jeffrey Epstein wins the Oklahoma lottery in 2008. But obviously, this is during the fraud time of that same lottery system, and somehow these things are connected. It's not bore out really how or why, but nonetheless, I think you've offered a good suggestion as far as some sort of payoff system within the folks who run the multi-state lottery. Old Hefe there.
Yeah, it's really
$40 million at a wild weekend at the ranch.
Someone brought up the McDonald's monopoly scam. Man, that was a big one. Man, I love the McDonald's monopoly when it came out. Man, I'd always get a bunch of free stuff from them. I like getting free food.
Right. Yeah, but that was another situation where the people at the top running it had fixed it, right?
Yeah, it was all fixed. So nobody could actually win the big prizes. It was all a bunch of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and great. So and so got another jet ski set. Great, congratulations.
Yeah, so again, studying that fraud of the lottery, knowing that old Hefe won the lotto as well, it makes me wonder how much of the lotto is fixed.
Right.
I mean, there's been other instances of the lotto being fixed. I know there was that Travolta movie in the 90s.
Was that Phenomenon?
No, it was about fixing the lotteries they do on the TV with the spinning balls. One of those state lottos. It was an incident out of Pennsylvania.
Did you pick 3 of the pick 4?
Lucky numbers. Yeah, it was one of those pick 3 or pick 4s exactly. Yep. The 1980 Pennsylvania lottery scandal. Yeah, so I mean there have been incidents like this for sure. I just think it's far more widespread, especially relative to that Tipton situation, because again, it was this was a pick 3 version, yeah. But yeah, they weighted down the balls somehow. I believe they put they had infiltrated the whole system and put something in. They knew which balls were going to be chosen because they had put something in the balls,
right?
To cause them to be heavier or something. But very limited scandals. I just think there's a lot more scandals going around these lottos. I just don't buy it. You know what I mean? I mean, first of all, they were sold to fund state education departments, right? These state lottos. They've never done that. You can look. I mean, if that was true just for the state of Ohio. Since I've been a tax-paying adult in the state of Ohio over the years, I've seen numerous instances of taxes being raised for educational purposes and levies and whatnot. So, lotto money certainly ain't funding the schools, I think that's a lot of the sports gambling was sold too, right? Was to finance all these budgetary woes because we keep sending tens of millions of dollars to have transgender surgeries in India. We got to have gambling to fund our budgets, right?
In South America, come on.
Yeah,
I know he said millions and $30 million to Israel for condoms. Whatever.
Well, the one thing that comes to mind when seeing all this gambling stuff in America, because literally America's become a casino. I've recently traveled Oh, fuck. I've recently traveled to basically everywhere east of the Mississippi, but I can
Right.
recently traveled all along the some of the areas of the East Coast there, and just driving through, like, where was I at? That I was like, why the fuck do they have a card room down here? Like, even in areas not near major urban centers, they put in like little poker rooms, like they call them games of skill rooms and stuff like that. Like, rural parts of Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee and stuff. I've seen that. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Like, they're really just everywhere. Even in North Carolina, I saw some of that stuff, and South Carolina. Just literally just amazes me the amount of gambling that goes on now versus just even 20 years ago. I'm often reminded of a clip. You're probably familiar with BT, a clip by the radio host Paul Harvey from I believe it's from like 1967. Do you know the clip I'm talking about, where he talks about how the devil's taking over America, and it's indicative of seeing America turn into a casino and stuff like that.
Right.
That was his perspective in 1967, dude. I mean, like, Paul Harvey would have a fucking.
There's casinos everywhere, man.
All the shit today, right?
You can't drive through a reservation area owned by Res and not have a casino out here in Oregon.
Right? No, that's true. Yeah, they have like a lot of those little card rooms kind of scattered across the Pacific Northwest and the little reservation spots, right?
I mean, lottery games are everywhere. I mean, we here in Oregon, I think it's actually nationwide or whatever. Sherry's just went out of business, and that company owed millions of dollars to Oregon Lottery.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, like, where's this money go from the tribes? Even it doesn't seem to be going back to the tribes. Right?
No, it really doesn't.
So you have the money these things are always intended for don't ever seem to go back to their intended purposes. So, like, where does this money go? Where's all this? It's all. I mean, they even do. You can go places here in Ohio and find pull tabs at, like, gas stations. Like, what the fuck? We're doing pull tabs now at gas stations,
right?
Can do dude, my favorite one is and they don't do it in every bar in Ohio, but definitely every bar in Maryland. I noticed bar, sports bar, restaurant, anywhere that serves alcohol. I think even in a lot of gas stations, even most if not all gas stations in Maryland, they'll have simulcast horse racing, but it's not real horses. It's fucking like video game horses.
Okay. And you can bet on the video game horses.
But you can bet on the video game horse. I'm like, what is this? There's no easier way to fix. I mean, horse races are already easy enough to fix. There's no easier horse race to fix than a virtual
video game horse races.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. No, it's the poor tax, man. Gambling and lotteries is the poor tax.
That is a good way to look at it, I think. I mean, at least it's a realistic way to look at it, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, inflation's the tax on the ones who save their money. Right? It's all of that. There's all those little schemes and things you learn. It's like, those who are prudent with their money or frugal with their money, inflation is their tax.
No, sure. I mean, that isn't.
It's all scam.
I'm sure you both you fellas have worked a job before. You see, like, your annual raise is like 3%. Like, oh shit, I make the same amount I did last year thanks to this inflation.
Yeah, I went. Last place I worked, they increased my wage. They were going to do it. They were going to do $2, but if they did $2, I'd go up a tax bracket and actually be making less money. So I was to say it needs to be worse. That's worse. It needs to be like $250 at least. Right. Otherwise, I'm going to be making less money because the taxes. Yeah, so I had to do that. It was so stupid.
Yeah, this is why these are some of the reasons I'm all for abolishing the IRS.
Right.
Amongst other things that are being touted around right now.
Yeah.
The idea of inflation, the idea of doing like getting a raise, but the raise doesn't even cover like the inflation. Like, it's just it's very defeating. It's very defeating.
Yeah, lots of people get a COLA, cost of living increase, but it doesn't cover what the inflation did, and it's just insane.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's another good example of the I didn't even think about all the gambling stuff. All the daily sports stuff and everything else, like, oh, it's just out of control. It's crazy. I'm not gonna say I've never gambled. I mean, I grew up Mormon, so that's not, you're definitely not, supposed to be gambling as a Mormon, right? but you know I like to play. I've enjoyed playing poker, numerous times in my life. But you know,
Sure.
but some of this. So again, I get it, but like at the same time, like this shit's just out of control.
Right.
Do we need a new version of the greenback? We probably need a lot of versions of a lot of new versions of a lot of things. But yeah, monetary system certainly seems to be key. I think the Federal Reserve situation, I'm all for that. Again, auditing the Federal Reserve, getting them out of the money processing and everything. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. But I do enjoy the show that's currently going on around it, though. At least, well, hopefully it's not hopefully there's some ends to the show.
The mayor of Toronto. I've heard stories.
The mayor of Toronto won this championship belt. I don't know who that is. Who's the mayor of Toronto right now?
It's some liberal super duper is crazy. The stuff that's coming out of Toronto right now. I've just been hearing. I don't even focus anymore on politics.
Is it Rob Ford's brother? It is Rob Ford's brother. No, it's not. I knew Rob Ford's brother's doing something up there. Olivia Chow, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Toronto's a hotbed of strange activity for Canada politics, that's for sure. It's where my spirit animal, Rob Ford, was the mayor. He's the guy that smoked crack and publicly and on videotape and refused to resign. Dude was a boss. Can you imagine that getting recorded on video? Sent everywhere around your town that you're smoking crack, and he's just like, oh, fuck it, I smoke crack. Right. I just enjoyed his attitude. Most people would like kowtow to the nonsense and be like, and start apologizing. He's like, fuck you guys, I smoke crack. I
wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that they issue some kind of federal crypto. You know what I mean?
You think so?
It's just, I wouldn't be surprised that they roll something out that is supposed to run parallel. It was, if I remember correctly, the way credit cards or debit cards or something like that were first rolled out for people. It was like, you don't have to fill out your check anymore. You just use this card.
Right.
See what I'm saying? And the check was the same way as, you just fill out the check. You don't have to have all this cash, and then just use this card. And then
you're saying it's a natural progression,
right? I mean, it's a progression that's already been programmed. It's a pre-programmed progression.
Yeah.
And so you'd already accept it. I use my phone to pay for things.
Solid points there, sir.
So,
and I think are you familiar with the company Tether?
No.
Well, what you're describing is exactly what one company is trying to accomplish. And I'll draw this back to the Epstein situation here momentarily. This company Tether is doing exactly that. It's supposed to be some sort of what they call a stable coin. It's backed by it's tied to the US dollar, so it fluctuates with the value of the US dollar.
Okay.
It's essentially a crypto backed US dollar situation. So they're lobbying to be doing exactly that, to replace the Federal Reserve. Whether or not the Trump administration is on board with that, I don't know, but these people are certainly lobbying the Trump administration, including its co-founder, who's a child actor from the Mighty Ducks movie. He played Emilio Estevez's character's younger version of Emilio Estevez's character in the first Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
He was, recently at the Trump inauguration. I can't think of his name right now. It's escaping my memory here. It's not listed.
Well, the Tether wanting to be backed with the USD is a fiat monetary system. It's not backed by anything itself, isn't it? It's just government trust.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know the ins and the outs of what they're trying to accomplish with backing it with this cryptocurrency, but it does seem to be like what you're describing, some sort of US dollar-backed cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think the dollar, it's supposed to be based basically on our GDP or something like that. And it's not like an oil dollar, it's not like it's backed on oil or anything. It's
right,
just,
right.
It has no, it's not gold. It isn't established on anything anymore.
Right.
So there's not a whole lot of time.
No, that's a great point, because that's kind of what one of the things I was going to discuss here was the August 13th, 1971 announcement by Richard Nixon on national TV saying, we don't have France's gold in the Federal Reserve. So everyone today's like, oh, we got to edit the Federal Reserve for gold. No, we already know there's no gold there. Richard Nixon went on TV. That's why we don't have, like you're saying, we don't have the we have the petro-based dollar, not the gold-based dollar anymore. But that happened in August of '71. It's referred to as the Nixon shock.
Yeah, I mean, most oil transactions are done in the United States dollar, but that's just based on, the promise of the United States government.
Well, the promise on not getting killed like Gaddafi style when he got off the the U.S. based gold oil transfers.
Right.
That's why the U.S. dollar is worth anything today. It really is. I mean, that's really the long and the short of it. It's a sad nature of affairs. Something has to change. I'm not pro crypto. I hope it doesn't go to that kind of situation again. When you're dealing with companies like Tether, it was co-founded by this fellow named Brock Pierce. Again, this is the guy, you can see pictures of him at the inauguration. Again, he's trying to get in. That whole Tether situation is trying to get in with the U.S. government, monetary system. But this fella was the boyfriend of a fellow named Mark Collins Rector, who ran a kid diddling, child sex trafficking operation out of Los Angeles, financed by the likes of David Geffen and Steve Bannon. So
right.
There's an odd epicenter of events that go around these child sex trafficking. Again, not necessarily directly Jeffrey Epstein in this, but folks within the Epstein orbit, because you got Brian Singer, who was also a major figure in this child operation that happened roughly 25 years ago now, called Den, I believe was the name of the company. And they bought a mansion in Hollywood, and they started just the Digital Entertainment Network. He technically wasn't the owner, but he was the owner's boyfriend, that Brock Pierce fella. I think he was 16 at the time. But yeah, so everyone involved in this operation is within that Epstein orbit, because you got folks like director Brian Singer. Brian Singer's casting Kevin Spacey in all of his films, right?
Oh, Kevin Spacey, yeah.
Kevin Spacey's boyfriend is Prince Andrew, who's obviously connected to the Epstein situation.
Right.
When I say boyfriend, the theater house that Kevin Spacey was managing, he managed a playhouse over there in London. Big theater's a big deal over there, I guess. Still, he managed a theater over there for 6 or 7 years. That theater settled, I think, no short of 22 lawsuits with victims that alleged that Prince Andrew and Kevin Spacey had both raped them.
Right.
Young men, that is. So these that's what I'm saying. Like, whatever, once again, whatever's going on with the cryptocurrencies and stuff like that right now, we're back to Epstein. Back to Epstein again.
Yep. How many corners does it take to get back to Epstein?
So, dude, I just, these are the things I wonder about from day to day. Like, it just pops in my head, like, why the fuck was Epstein involved in that? Why the fuck is Epstein involved in everything? And why does no one want to talk about these things? Client list aside, I mean, obviously that's got some extenuating circumstances for a lot of people, rich folks, powerful folks, right? Well, if we're gonna talk about the depth of his activities, let's talk about some of these other things, right? I mean, to me, that means there's something to it. No one wants to talk about it. That means there's something more to it.
I was gonna say, sometimes I think that's why we focus on this stuff, not to downplay it. But it's like, can we go on to something else about the guy that just one of the other million things that seems real fucking shady?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, you brought up a great theory relative to his AI operations and Peter Thiel.
Yeah, well, it was just weird because of stuff that I was looking into. I was like, Peter Thiel was associated with Sam Bankman-Fried and something with AI too. I think the MIRI. And it's just interesting how
brought that to my attention too. Yeah,
Epstein's dead now, and the other guy's in jail. It's real convenient for Thiel, isn't it?
Right. His AI competition, right?
Yeah. Convenient for that motherfucker.
Well, and to that note, it seems like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel allegedly don't like each other anymore. They had a falling out a number of years ago, right? They're both still very involved in AI, and Musk is trying to take out Thiel's other competition with that Sam Altman guy, right? Sam Altman and Musk have been feuding for months now, pretty publicly. I imagine that probably spilled over from some private feud beforehand. Musk got thrown off the OpenAI board, all that stuff, right? So, Musk and Thiel may not like each other. I guess that's yet to be really known necessarily, but he's doing Thiel's work, right? He's taking out Thiel's competition, at least or at least maybe they're shared maybe they have the same enemy. It's like you got some compliments from the chat there, BT.
Let's see that. I see that.
Mars. No, so yeah, that theory you mentioned, Nick, I think that sounds very valid to me. Because again, like all of these people are involved in this AI stuff right now, and this AI is just, it's everywhere. From to my understanding, you can't even mine cryptocurrency without the use of artificial intelligence.
Right.
So the idea that Bitcoin is separated from the subject of AI, like these are the same subject. I don't know enough technically speaking, but maybe you do, BT. To my understanding, these two are inseparable. You can't do one without the other.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, there's programs out there that do other things that are like folding proteins to figure out mathematical equations and all this other weird stuff that physicists are working on. They use AI to do that too. I mean, it's not just whatever they're quote unquote mining for quote unquote cryptocurrency. You know what I mean? It's like, what is that? Honestly, what is being dug out of the cyberspace?
Isn't that interesting? And you use massive amounts of electricity to whatever you're doing too.
Massive.
That's just like what is actually going on with that.
Yeah, y'all bring up some good points. You do use an obscene amount of power to do these things. And what are they mining? Because like I was just reading, I don't fully understand what the mining thing is in the first place, but I was just reading that given the current rate of Bitcoin, it costs $91,000 to mine one Bitcoin, yet Bitcoin's only worth like $85,000. So you're currently in a negative mining situation for Bitcoin. I'm like, wait a second, I'm out. I don't even understand this. This is way too much nonsense for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't get it.
But it doesn't sound right. Whatever it is, it doesn't sound right.
It's just like it's just a new scam.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I got some beachfront property on the moon for sale. You wanna
right, or Mars for that matter with Musk, right?
Oh, that's right. And you got Bigelow, who's got for $52 million. He can send you there for 90 days with his shuttle and Elon's rockets.
Right. I just I don't understand any aspect of the Bitcoin situation. I mean, I try to wrap my mind around it, right? I try to get in there and see what's going on, but like, what are they mining? Like, these are the concepts I don't really quite grasp, right? And why does it use so much power, right?
Not a clue.
I mean, I don't want to, as you have probably a very Christian perspective on demons there, BT, and as we were saying before, that, and something I didn't realize that a lot of fundamentalist Christians think ghosts are demons.
You get a lot of that.
I don't want to accuse everything being demons in that regard, but like to a certain extent, like all of these AI cryptocurrency stuff seems kind of demonic to me. You know what I mean? Like they're summoning some sort of, like Elon Musk said in that clip, the new gods are coming from, right?
Yeah, I mean, the systems seem to be designed to kind of be anti-human, and that seems to be, something I would say is demonic, I guess.
Yeah, anti-human for sure. Yeah, could certainly be called demonic.
Right.
I don't know. There's always looking into the history of computers. It's always struck me as something very. I believe the guy that created the first computer claimed he was talking to demons.
Right.
Ghislaine Maxwell's brother-in-law, who invented one of the first modern interweb search engines, along with her sister, that fella, the son of Jack Parsons' Suicide Squad sex magic cult ritualist partner, Melina's son is married to Maxwell's daughter. Melina is a computer science professor that claims he talks to demons,
right,
or aliens, depending on which day of the week you're catching
those quantum cores. The people that say the stuff that comes out of the AI from quantum cores is similar. Yeah, that they're talking to something. From
there seems to be something kind of demonic with all those things.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
I'm not going to try to exercise an IBM or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, it seems kind of demonic to me.
I know. I mean, it gets pretty extreme. I mean, you've even heard people are like, don't get a tattoo because the tattoos can be, possessed by a demon, and it's kind of like you get a little off for me. So,
right.
So it's real simple to be, you kind of have to pay attention to what's going on and use your brain. That's why you were given a brain to be reasonable with, and if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Some sage advice there, BT. Do you have any closing thoughts for on the conversation for the folks of the interwebs, or any?
No, it
plugs you
doesn't take very long to just talk about the Epstein files and to the Nothing Burger binders.
Right.
No, good stuff. Thanks, guys.
So, Truth and Shadow podcast, Unrefined podcast. Any specific thing you're gonna be working on or publishing here in the near future?
I've got an interview with Nick that should be dropping here in a couple weeks, either next week or the following week. We talk about some pretty cool stuff and his personal experiences. It's pretty wild.
Nice.
Forgot all about that. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I mean,
I was just in here for a second and I was like, yo,
I hold on to the good. I hold on to the
Nick,
good stuff till I
oh.
need to pull it out. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate the compliments there from the chat.
Yeah, I probably cracked myself up the most. Yo, some of the stuff in chat had me dying.
Yeah,
I was trying to keep up. Yeah,
I was sitting back in my chair,
laughing,
cracking up. I was like,
what? I had too many things going at once. So I saw you cracking up over there looking at the chat. I was like, yeah,
it's good.
It's good stuff. No, I appreciate both your gents' times. Nick, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah. You know, closing plug tomorrow night. You'll be there, JJ. Come check out the Occult Rejects live. We'll be talking about the Zizian cult. Definitely a very weird, interesting group of people and some really weird, interesting ties. So I highly suggest to check it out. Definitely think it will be rather detailed and interesting for sure.
This is part of the transpocalypse we're currently under right now, right?
Yeah, maybe give a little bit of a teaser. This does include vegan trannies. So, I mean, you know, you already know what's up with that.
My goodness.
Yes. So, yeah, definitely
Yeah,
check it
out. I'm looking forward to the conversation, Nick. No, it should be a good one. I know that's a very odd group because we were discussing some of those details that you've uncovered, and it seems like a very odd group that you know, I'm surprised there's not more of these kind of odd groups that are out there. Maybe there are, maybe they just haven't popped off yet. You know what I mean? But this one seems uniquely odd, right? Silicon Valley vegan transpocalypse assassins.
It really makes me want to start digging into like the other, like, you know how many recently like tranny type people we've had that have gone popped off.
Dude, we opened the show with Buffalo
like,
Jared Vervigge said, dude, I'm a survivor from the transpocalypse.
So looking to see if they have any of the similar connections with these mofos. I don't know. It's very interesting and weird.
No, we have covered a lot. We covered that one with William Ramsey with the smiley face killers, Scarlet Blake.
Yeah,
that was another transpocalypse smiley face killers crossover.
Yeah, something weird. But yeah, definitely check that out tomorrow night. I think at 8:00 it'll be me, JJ, Lisa, and Ethan.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you very much, and check out the Occult Rejects. There you go.
Apparently, I donated my facial hair to those who cannot grow their own. I used to be one of those just a few years ago that cannot grow their own. In fact, when I went to basic training, I remember trying to skip out on the initial shave when everyone was, boot camp. They're trying, all the drill instructors are watching you come in the bathroom to shave. I kind of just, hopped in, went in one line, hopped out the other, and like, wait a second, you get back in here and shave, and like maybe put shave. Like I had nothing that resembled hair. I had zero hair.
No.
Like put some shaving cream on there and shit. You can't argue with the drill instructor. Like
we need some razor burn on that face here.
Yeah, I'm like, this is ridiculous, guys. I'll just go ahead and do it. No, I appreciate both of y'all's times. Yeah, Operation GCD Live back here on Wednesday nights. I don't know what I'm doing this Wednesday. I believe I briefly suggested I was going to discuss the Monica Lewinsky hangout, and I think I will follow through with that, where I allege this entire charade that took place around the Monica Lewinsky affair is still affecting our society in parapolitics today, between the fake intern of Monica Lewinsky. The real intern was a woman named Mary Mahoney. She was murdered 3 days after the initial publication on July 3rd was produced on the matter of this intern coming out. She's murdered in a Starbucks in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., Georgetown neighborhood. 2 shots to the back of the head, along with her two employees. No signs of break-in. No money was taken. However, Matt Drudge would suddenly erupt on the conservative media scene, perpetrating this Monica Lewinsky tale when really the tale was really Mary Mahoney. And
wow,
a lot of other folks play into that narrative that still seems to be, plaguing American politics today. Nonetheless, I saw Monica Lewinsky the other day making a comment, commenting on, I believe it was something about the Clintons, but anything about the Clintons she says is preposterous. She's been employed by Clinton associates for many years. So there's a lot of these limited hangout aspects. And I know, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the current trend of conspiracy culture is claiming Monica Lewinsky as a Mossad agent. That may in fact be true. I'm not,
right.
What I'm saying is does not really know that out. She was the false, White House staffer that was rolled out. It was not the, and the name Mary Mahoney's long been attached to the Clintons. No one puts it in chronological order to realize it has to be Mary Mahoney. It can't be anybody else. So probably going to get into some of that. But anyhow, folks, interwebs, appreciate everyone joining us. And Nick, BT, till next time.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.